Okay, so we've established that now. What I want to do is again go into this brush, this bristle brush that we've got there, and I want to go into the lighter mix, get a little bit of tissue paper in our hands, get the lighter mix, and again I just want to drag. And you think now where this water is going to hit, because what this is the foam or the froth that the water is throwing off, and is picking up the light as well. And you've got to think, it's like when we paint in trees, we've got to think about where this light is going to actually hit, and there's going to be splashes here and there. And it's going to be hitting rocks on the way down, and then it's going to be coming down there and dragging it very, very, very lightly like that, and then down that edge again like that. Now this is hardly any paint on this brush. It's called a dry brushing technique, because if you put too much paint on the brush, you won't be able to get this effect. You're just basically pulling off the paint off the brush like we did with the palette knife. That's all it is. And there's going to be a few little lines there like that, and that's going to flick up there and drop this way and drop that way. It's going to pick up on that edge. Touching, touching, touching. Just that look of splashes here and there. That's all that is. And now it's going to die back because it's blue in it. Again, dragging down. And off that rock there's a rock there, look. Another rock sticking out there. Just drag it down. There's another rock there. Drag that down. It's bouncing off there. Bits of highlights here and there. And then flick up a little bit there and pull down. Flick up a little bit there, pull down. It's coming off there, look, it's coming off there. So you need to look at this, and then we let that dry a little bit more. We're going to go into some pure white now. And it's exactly what I said. Take it off the brush, and then very lightly, you don't want a lot of this, very lightly with this white. A little bit of highlight here and there and here. And this type of painting is not so much a painting per se. It's not a scene as such. It's just a training canvas, and I do a lot of these now, and this is just a way to learn all these different techniques, and it's important sometimes that we do that. So let's let that dry. Let's put our brush in the pot. So let's pick up the number 3 detail brush again, and we're going to go into some raw sienna and a little bit of red sienna, burnt sienna, sorry. Raw sienna and burnt sienna, mix them two together on the same brush. And let's just touch in these rocks now. I'm just going over the top of that dark that I put on there. Just put a bit of red in. I just want to knock back that brightness of colour because it's dried like a gloss, and I didn't like that look. So I'm going to put the brush back in the water. I'm picking up my number 6 detailing brush, and I'm just going to blend that through like that. Okay, so I'm picking up my number 3 detail brush, going into some burnt umber. Going back into my medium mix formula. And this is the palette knife mixture I made. I'm going into a little bit of the black as well, that doesn't matter. And I just want to darken that edge there. Bring that edge down. Coming into that rock pattern there, underneath that rock pattern there. I'm trying to blend this through as I go. Picking up a little bit of that raw sienna now and just bring in a couple of tonal changes into that rock face. Now you can see now that's already started to come in front of that, which is what we're looking for. I'm bringing this rock face down over that blue, so you could just see the hint of blue. Can you just see the hint of blue there? Like, we know it's coming from up there, but we don't know exactly where, but we could just about see it. So that's what's giving us the optical illusion now that it's flowing down over that mountain. Let's bring that rock out a bit more there. There we go. And just darken this up. I'm using the brush on the side. Just to give me the effects I'm looking for. And I want this to be reasonably dark here. That's that path we were saying about. Again, let's bring some of this down here now. Let's darken this area off a bit. It's a bit bright for my liking. And just pulling this off the paintbrush, just bringing it down. I'm using the brush on the side. I'm not doing anything particular, I'm just looking for shapes. It's going to be dark in there. Could be a cave there. That's where the goblins live. Okay, so I'll just keep building and building and building. What I'm going to do at this stage now, I'm going to continue with that. I'm going to continue down here, and I'll stop filming for the moment and I'll come back when that's actually completed. Okay, so I haven't let it dry. I've just added some more texture into the base here on the outcrop. I've actually put some black in along the outcrop there, and don't ever be afraid to put black into a painting if you want to. Some people they get a bit scared with black, but if that's really deep dark shadow, then obviously, you know, it's going to look more black than anything. So what I've decided to do now is I want to put a little bit of contrast into this. So I'm going to get some of the raw sienna. All I'm going to do is just go straight over the top of that outcrop with the raw sienna. want it to come down around like that. And this is just a blocking of colour. As you heard me say many times before, this is just a blocking of colour. I just want to get that edge defined there. There you go. And picking up a bit of the black and burnt umber, and I'm just going to go underneath that rock face there. I'm just going to bring a bit of that out. Bit of burnt umber again, bit of black, and I'm just going to drag a couple of marks here, there and everywhere. Bit of black on the edge of the brush, just going down along that edge there like that, and then just blend this in. I'm just touching little bits here and there. I got some black on the brush with a burnt umber. I'm just going to go in and just darkening up a couple of the lighter spots there. Go back into that raw sienna again and just put that little bit of a path we got going on there. And I'm going to let that dry. Now in the meantime, I'm going to get my script liner brush. I'm going to go into my medium mix. I'm going to just get that nice and wet. I'm going to pick up a bit of black because we had a problem in the sky earlier, and that is there. There's a spot of black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bird in there like that, like an eagle, picking up a bit of burnt sienna. I'm just going to put a little bit of colour in like that. Let's just make his wing a little bit. There we go. Looks like just turn that into an eagle. There we go. Don't ever be afraid of doing that if you don't want to. Now, there's another problem there. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with that. So let's get, I've got a really nasty distress brush here somewhere. Remember these distress brushes? Okay, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of raw sienna, a bit of white, tap on my brush and just put maybe that wasn't such a good idea, Clive. Okay, so made a mistake. Quick rectification, because we know that's dry. Get a bit of tissue paper, bit of dry, bit of wet, because it's on a dry canvas. We can wipe it off. So we made a mistake. What can we do? Let's go a bit darker then. Let's go into a Van Dyke brown, bit of black. Let's try that. See what that looks like. That's better. Looks more like a bush now. And then we'll have to put one there. And we'll have to carry this around now. There you go. Oops. Too chunky monkey. There you go. So we let that dry, and I can put a little bit of a wash over that later on. Let's just put another one there. There you go. Looks like there's some definite bushes or something going on there. Now that's given me an idea, so I've got to balance that off. Now this is the problem we get sometimes. I'm just going to let all that dry now. The problem is when we start doing things like that, we've got to try and balance the composition. Now this wasn't planned as a painting per se. It was planned more of a lesson on how to show depth and dimension on a rock face, how to develop rocks, how to put some waterfall in place, just a touch on water. But you can see now that I've already got the depth going on there. Now I've had to put a bush in. Now I'm going to have to put some sort of a bush here to balance that off, because you can't have bushes in one part and not in the other part, because it won't look right. So I'm going to let that dry now, and I'll give it 20 minutes or so, and I must probably get the air dryer on that. And then when I come back, then we're going to finish off the outcrop and put a little bit more detail on that path there, and just put a little bit more detail into the waterfall. Put some sort of a thing here, and we'll call it quits. Yes, so there's another quick lesson for you. So give me 20 minutes, I'll be back. Okay, so we're in the final part of the actual painting now. All I did is blanked out the bushes there with a little bit of white, as I did in the background, so I knocked them back. There was no point at all filming that part. So I want to concentrate now on this part here. So we're going to go into we'll get some Van Dyke Brown out, because I've got that mixed with the heavy structure gel, so I don't want to use that because it's too thick and it dries too quick. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, neat as it is, on my brush. Just getting me just getting my some kitchen roll, right? And I'm just going to go on the side of the brush, and I'm just going to darken this off. And this is neat paint, and I just want to show that a little bit of that colour coming through there. Let's take that edge out a bit further there, like that. Make it a bit thicker. There you go. Bit of black. Just pushing a bit of black in here and there. And it's starting to drag, so I get my my mixture bottle, and very lightly. That's all it takes, because it's such an ultra fine mist on that bottle. It's all it takes. Actually, maybe a little bit more, Clive. There you go. There you are. It's better. See how smooth that runs now with a bit of moisture on there. And you can play with this as much as you like. Because of time constraints, I could stay here forever and ever and ever, but I can't, because I've got a video and I got a lot more lessons to do for other things. But you can see that that's okay. Now, what we can do, we can get ourselves, let me think, what number is that? That's a number 5 detailing brush. We can go into burnt umber. Just look what I'm doing. I'm loading the one side like that, and then I'm going in some raw sienna that side. So I got a little bit of both, and then I'm just going to go just a couple of little drops here and there. So load in one side and then the other side. I'm just putting a couple of little drops like that, just like they're rocks. Okay, and now selected, well, this is an old bristle filbert brush, anything like that, anything that about that size, and if it's a bristle it's even better. So get your Van Dyke brown and your black, mix them together, and then on here we need to get that a bit darker than that. No, let's mix some more black. Okay, so we're going to introduce, excuse me talking, I've got a brush between my teeth. I'm going to introduce a little bit of yellow to the palette. This is a cardinal yellow medium. There you go. And I'm going to, on the same brush, I'm going to add that over to the black. Taking the excess off the brush now. So you can see I've got a dark green, because there's blue in Mars black, as you would know. Just chucking my tissue paper away, getting some more kitchen roll. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of green in now. Because we put a bush over there. So I thought it'd be a good idea if we put a bush in here. Like that. What I'm going to introduce now is my blending white. This doesn't just, I don't just use this now, I've been playing around with this for weeks. So you can see it's quite a fluid, it's not gesso, it is actually paint. And I can just tap the top of that and put it in to my paint, and then just gonna put that then as a little highlight. Now it's designed to blend in things like skies. You can use it for tints and shades, you know, not shades, but you can use it for tinting a colour. You can get some really nice pastel colours with this particular mix. So you can use it for mixing as well, which is very good. And you can see it gives me the chance to pick up and mix on the canvas without actually going muddy, because that's the nature of it. I just picked up a bit of yellow now, just to bring in a little bit of highlight there. And this side is, I want a little bit darker because it's in shadow. Washing my brush, getting the excess moisture out of that brush. I'm going to quite dark now. Back into the black, and I'm just going to increase the darkness there, and I'm going back into that green again just to pick up a little bit here and a little bit there that on the edges. There you go. And I'm going to get in my script liner brush, a bit of water. I'm going into the burnt sienna, bit of raw sienna, just a touch of my blending white formula. Now you can see how that's gone like a pastel-y colour. All I'm going to do now is just put a few lines here and there and there and here. And you can see how fluid this is actually running onto the canvas, and it's actually going over the top of my paint quite easily. And this is the nature of my blending white formula. So anybody's interested in that, just email me, and well, we can go from there. It's not a problem. There's little branches here and there and there and here. You put a little branch there, maybe. Put a little branch there, just sticking out. Pick up a bit of a bush for there. And again, going into our bristle brush, going into some pure white now, and just emphasizing some of the foam patterns on the waterfall, where it's just catching the light. And you can continue with that now till your heart's content, basically, and just keep playing with the whole painting. So all it remains for me to do now is actually sign it. You can decide what corner you sign this in. I decided just to sign it in this corner here, so I'm just using white. You can use a signature, any signature you want. I'd suggest you don't date your painting because it puts an age on it. And there you go. That's the end of this tutorial. It's rocks and mountains. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please, please, please take your time and work with this, because it's a lot of technique and it'll take you a long time to actually get into this process. So we've discussed distant mountains. We've discussed using palette knife. I've put some water in place. I've showed you how to use the blending formula with the trees. So we've got a bush there that balances that out. Now your eye is automatically drawn in to the point. And there you go. So thank you very much for watching this lesson. We'll have a look at the easel of completion. And all that remains me to say is thank you very much for joining me in the studio. My name is Clive from Clive's Art. May your God go with you, and enjoy your day, your week, your month, or your year, and your year, because I don't know exactly when you're going to be watching this. But as you can see, we have actually developed a lovely painting with distant mountains, an eagle in the background with some trees, and I've showed you how to use some texture with heavy structure gel and a palette knife, and incorporating a little bit of a water feature there, and giving depth and dimension to the whole painting, and bringing in a focal point of the bush in the foreground, and separating each layer of the mountain face apart from each other. So thank you very much, as I said, for joining me in the studio today. So thank you very much again for joining me in the studio. I hope this have been use. As I said, have a good day, a good week, and a good month, or a good year, and I will see you on the next lesson with Clive from clivesart.co.uk. Take care. Nice.